I'm so excited to present for you today. Thank you for inviting me to this conference on media, language, and society, perspectives and reflections on the mediatization of culture. My presentation is about Photovoice, a revised research framework for the I generation. You may be asking yourself, what is Photovoice? Maybe you've heard this term before, or maybe you can gather what it means by the words photo and voice. So Photovoice is pretty much what the word means. It's using photographs to amplify your voice or to speak and communicate with your photographs. Photovoice is defined as a process by which people can identify, represent, and enhance their community through a specific photographic technique. It is a participatory action research where participants use photography as a means to share their problems and strengths with their community. Originally, Photovoice was developed by Wang and Burris in 1997. They went to a country part of China, a rural side of China, where they had female farm workers as their participants, and they gave these ladies cameras and they asked them to take pictures of their community or things important to them and have a discussion in the themes and problems at that time of what was happening. And that's how it developed. And what they discovered is that these ladies, these female farm workers, had a perspective about the hygiene and the health of their community, which were then later brought to the elders and the leaders of their community so they could instill change. Photovoice, the conceptual framework, the foundation of Photovoice relies on three main components, which is Freire's critical consciousness theory, which is how visual imagery is a way to create the space for critical thinking and to think about ways to change versus how things are. It also stems from feminist theory, which encourages and promotes marginalized voices, as well as documentary photography, which is providing that social justice lens to capture images. So Photovoice, it gives a platform to those who don't have a voice and who are not heard, who may be oppressed or feel somehow vulnerable or feel they don't have a say in society. So it gives them a sense of agency, and it's a common ground for them to express how they feel, what they think, without using words. You don't have to know how to read or write to take an image or capture an image to show problems in your community or issues that you want to raise awareness for. Here is a flowchart of the original Photovoice process. The original process is you learn about Photovoice, cameras, and ethics. However, the ethical side of it is very minimal. There's not a very deep discussion about ethics other than, asking permission for somebody to take their photo. And then once you learn about what Photovoice is, how to use the camera, then you go on to picture taking. Then you engage in a group discussion about those pictures and your experience. And as this discussion happens, it's very random, and it's very, people are just able to share their thoughts, unfiltered, and they come up with themes. And maybe, the participants, for 6 of them or 10 of them, they possibly could have found a common theme among their photographs. So this discussion is a key part to where they find some thematic analysis, and the participants, they get to decide, not the researchers. And then once they decide some common themes that they have found within their community or even personal lives, then they create an exhibit. So they invite the public to share, and they show to the public what they have found. And then the community gets involved and they reflect upon this experience. So Photovoice heavily ties into visual and media literacy, especially today. And the concept of Photovoice now, the reason for the Photovoice 2.0 is because of this heavy shift from in-person to now online. So here are some statistics. Social media users worldwide are now 3.6 billion and estimated to reach 4.4 billion users by 2025. Instagram, there are 347,000 stories posted per minute, and 95 million photos and videos are shared on Instagram daily, and more than 50 billion photos since the inception of Instagram have been online. YouTube users, they produce over 500 hours of content per minute. Google searches reach close to 4 million per minute. And Facebook users upload 300 million new photos daily and reach 8 billion video views a day. So these statistics alone created this need and this gap to move Photovoice online, because the concept of Photovoice from the 90s has not been updated. It's still in the same process as it was. So Photovoice 2.0 is a way to shift this idea of meeting in person, doing exhibits in person, and moving it to online, where now we have millions and billions of viewers. So in this way, we can, make their ideas and reach a wider community to possibly instill more change. So we argue that Photovoice 2.0 needs to include a step to explicitly teach visual literacy as well as privacy literacy competencies to participants. This way, they can strengthen their picture-taking abilities as well as analyzing the visual images to have more of an impact on when they take their pictures. Here is a quick snap photo of the Photovoice 2.0 framework. So the intention behind this is to build a new framework for the media ecology and the I generation, which also means internet generation. And here's a chart just to outline, and we're going to be going through each step of the Photovoice 2.0 process. So briefly, the first step is a thorough visual literacy analysis, which the original Photovoice did not include. The next step is to examine Photovoice and ethics with a social media and privacy literacy focus. This is important because online things can go viral. You can post an image and you don't even know that you're in this image, and now you're a meme. A meme is, an image that has words on it and can be funny, and people have become famous through meme sharing. So it's important to ask your participants permission before posting them anywhere online. So that is discussed in detail. Step 3 is the same as the original, where you take pictures. That does not change. However, now you can use your smartphone. You don't have to use an old-fashioned camera or a DSLR camera. However, you can if that suits you. Step 4 is to digitally share and discuss pictures among the participants for analysis. This is also the same as the original, however, it's done through an online group, an online texting group or chatting group. It can be done through Instagram group, a Facebook group, Zoom, just anything online. Step 5 is learning the social media features for creating and publishing pictures. And 6 is to be able to digitally create and publish an online exhibit and select pictures for social media features for exposure. And lastly, the step 7 is to engage in communication with policymakers, stakeholders, and the general public in order to have a feedback loop. This way, if you tweet something or you post something on Instagram, you can tag a policymaker, a politician, someone in charge. You can tag them and quote them and get their attention. And possibly they can retweet or repost your story or picture. This way it creates a feedback, an instant feedback with those policymakers. So step 1 of Photovoice 2.0 is on visual literacy analysis. So before they begin their journey of Photovoice, a moderator or facilitator would present some pictures. This can be anything from social justice issues, historical photographs, pictures using propaganda. And you sit with your participants and you discuss these pictures. You can discuss, the angle of the picture. What is the message? How is the lighting in this picture? And you try to understand what is the deeper message of the picture. For example, you could use a picture of a social justice and civil rights historical photograph, where in the United States, African Americans were not allowed to sit in the front of the bus. And so Rosa Parks, she was a historical figure, a African American woman who sat in the front of the bus, and she was asked to move. And there's a picture of her sitting in the front of the bus with all these white men around her. So you could take a photo of that and discuss racial issues and discuss the emotion in the picture. So the first step is to have a very thorough visual literacy analysis. And here are some questions you can ask. There are technical aspects of the picture. For example, how is the lighting? How is the color used? What are the angles? How are the angles used in this picture? You could also analysis and reflect on how does this picture make you feel? And then also ask an ethical consideration. Could this photograph violate someone's privacy? Or could they be depicted in a way that isn't truly how they are? For example, it could be someone smoking in the picture. And let's say they don't really smoke often. But now this picture depicts them as a cigarette smoker, which may not always be true. So you don't have to follow these questions exactly, but this is just kind of a guideline. Which also leads to step 2, which is Photovoice and Ethics. So step 2, you would discuss ethical practices on photography and social media. And there is an article by Wang and Redwood Jones where they provide a very detailed step-by-step descriptive guideline for these considerations. So here are some examples of what you could discuss concerning an ethical discussion. So here's a good outline to start. So providing participants with a consent form, ethical protocols, as well as rights and responsibilities required by an IRB, which is the Institutional Review Board, or you need permission to do research. And then 2, provide them with a media public release form. This way, if they take a picture of somebody and they sign it, they have permission to use their photograph online. So because each picture you post online has a geolocation and metadata, they can identify this person. So it's crucial to have a media public release form. Then you could talk about just a discussion about your responsibilities of using a camera. You could ask your participants, what do you think is important about using a camera when you take pictures of others, and who owns these pictures? Also talk about guidelines regarding the project, timeline, and what to do if things may go wrong. And then provide participants with prints and digital files of photographs so they could possibly show the pictures to the people that they photographed and ask them, hey, is this how you want it to be depicted in this photograph? How do you like how you look in this photograph? Is this okay? And then review the software structure of the platform of where you're posting, such as Instagram versus Facebook have different guidelines for posting. So review those and make sure you follow the ethical concerns. And step 3 is the fun part, where you take pictures. This is the same as the original method. However, people nowadays, everyone has a smartphone using your camera to take pictures. And as long as they understand the ethical concerns and they're ready, let them go and take pictures of what they want in their community. You could give them a prompt. You could ask them a question. You could say, how do you feel about the environmental factors in your community? And maybe you want to focus on environmental sustainability, or if you want to focus on poverty or homelessness. You could give them a focus, or you can keep it open and say, just take pictures of what you feel needs work in your community or what you think are problems. So once the pictures have been taken, you can meet up in an Instagram account, a Facebook account, Twitter, Zoom. It can even just be a WhatsApp group. It could be anything online. And you could use private text, a private group. It's better that the communication is end-to-end encrypted, so that way you have your privacy. And then once they share, you can upload your pictures just to the group, and everyone can share their pictures and say, hey, this is what I found, this is what I discovered. And then you select images for an online exhibit, preferably 1 to 2 images per person. And step 5 is crucial because you need to learn the social media features for creating and sharing pictures. So you could talk about how to reach, stakeholders or reach visibility, such as, for example, on Instagram, using hashtags. This is a way to get awareness or to produce information online that is easily accessible and easily searchable. So if you use hashtag climate change or hashtag, no more plastic, anyone can find those hashtags, and it just makes accessibility much easier. And then once you have your pictures and you learn how to get them together, you're ready to release and publish your findings digitally. Now, there's many ways you can do this. You could organize a Facebook group or a Facebook page and create the photos in an album and put the album on Facebook. You could also use Instagram. You could create an Instagram page and dedicate it all to this project or your research. And then you could post all the images on Instagram. And this can be continuous. It doesn't have to be a one-time exhibit, especially with Instagram, where people are posting photos every day. So the intention is to create an online exhibit to bring awareness to issues. And then last, you engage in communication with stakeholders and the general public. And this is important because this is really the reason why you're trying to create social change and you're trying to get attention for problems that you want to fix. So this is all about tagging policymakers, tagging celebrities even, hashtagging, retweeting, getting that communication, getting that feedback loop. And nowadays, an average person can post something about a corporation. For example, in America, people can post to celebrities now and talk to them. And they often get a tweet or retweet back, or they do get some response usually. So depending on the situation and what you're posting, you can easily get and garner that attention from people who have power, which also makes the participants feel a bit of sense of participation in that power because they're getting their voice heard through photography. And here are the references. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on Photovoice 2.0. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I can always send out a